Yo, check this out.
Previously heard. Good Hope FM. Let's go.
Your favorite influencers and content creators.
This is Like, Follow, Subscribe on The Pulse with Celest Anthony.
There you have it, 7 o'clock on the dot. I asked you by the WhatsApp line to guess if you can think who's in studio. And of course, a couple of guesses came through. All of you correct. Of course, keeping your eye out on the Good Hope FM social media. I have some very cool people every Thursday sitting across from me, or at least across from me at this desk and on this mics. And tonight, I do have one of those people, man. A singer, songwriter, HR expert, just all around multi-talented individual. Anslin Gysman, welcome to the Pulse on Good Hope FM.
Thank you so much for having me, Celeste Anthony.
Greet the people.
Good evening, all the listeners of Good Hope FM all around the world. If you're listening to us, you are greeted.
There you go. It wouldn't have been an Anslin Gysman greeting without that. I am very happy that you could fit us into your busy schedule because we know that you are busy. I mean, I listed a bunch of things and that is not even all.
100%. I think my life is a whirlwind of things happening, you know. But I think it's good things. So
It is
I was
good
telling
things.
somebody the other day, I am tired, and I think it's human or humane of us to be tired, but rather be tired from the things or of a challenge of you choosing
for
than
sure.
being tired of like just nonsense.
100% gotta agree with you.
yeah.
I had the same. I said to someone, I'm tired, it's mid-year. And then I go, but I choose this mid-year tired over the year that I had in 2020.
100%.
Anslin, right? The list of things are endless. But we as the world, I think we were first introduced to you as a singer. And as someone that had always dreamed that I could be a singer, and I can't even hold a note. I was kicked out of the primary school choir. Tell me about where the love for singing came from and also how you even knew that you had a voice that could go places.
I think the greatest power that I possess is the fact that I'm very delusional.
The young kids, they say Delulu is the Salulu.
It is, and in my case, it was definitely the Salulu. I look back at videos of myself on stages way back then, and I cringe because I can't understand why I had such a great amount of confidence in that nonsense, you know. But when I say that the Delulu was my Salulu, I literally meant that I had a dream at a very young age, and delusion saved me because it kept me afloat, it kept me going, and I think it kept my confidence at bay. And I think I've always realized that I was able to sing, or I had some sort of a gift. I just think the level where I was at and the level where I'm at now, obviously there's a big gap because of training and experience, etc., etc. But I think it all started in church for me, like it starts for most of us who start out singing. And I think that dream became a reality more later in my life when I obviously realized, listen, there's something here.
Let's nurture it, right?
Yeah. Let's groom that sort of gift and sort of harness that ability. And later on, I did some cool things. I mean, I was in a little show called
A little?
a little show.
Stand by.
The Voice South Africa, which was
You were in The
absolutely
Voice South
phenomenal.
Africa season 3,
Season
right?
3, that was the last season in South Africa.
That was the last season, and you were phenomenal. You were a finalist in that
Yeah.
show. Talk to us about that because I couldn't imagine. First, let's talk pre-show.
Yeah.
What prompted you to enter? Was there someone saying, Anslin?
My friends literally dared me.
Oh, really?
My friends dared me. I said to them, nah, I don't think I'm cut out for this. And there were so many preliminary rounds before you actually get to like the blind audition. And I went through the first round and they let me know, you've made it, you onto the next
Come
round. Then
now.
you now write an essay, pass that essay onto the next round, you know. And so every time my what if just worked.
Yeah.
UWC has an amazing postgraduate slogan that says, what if your what if works? In my
Okay.
case, it did work.
Yeah.
And so pre-show establishment was crazy for me. I didn't expect to get to the next stage every time, and so when it actually became a reality, I was like, oh
Yeah,
my
where did you go?
gosh.
Okay, wait, this is for reals now.
I think when I was shooting the blind audition for the third week, I mean, all in the name of continuity, I had to have the same hairstyle,
Same
I was wearing
outfit,
the
yeah.
same clothing, and I think that's when it became a reality. When I was like, okay, cool, so I must actually sing for my life now, because should I not sing for my life, nobody's going to turn around for me.
Yeah.
And I think that was the most scariest moments of my life. Yeah.
That is crazy. If you think back of your younger days, young Anslin Gysman, brown boy from Philippi.
Yeah.
Is there someone that was in your corner rooting for you all the way that you can go if it wasn't really for you?
My late grandmother. My late grandmother, she played an absolutely instrumental role in not only my upbringing, but also in making sure that the dreams that I had dreamt for myself were kept alive.
Aye.
I come from a space where we didn't have much, but the little that we did have was sufficient to sustain the thought that I could be exceptional. I think it is so important, and I see it in the lives of many kids today, that it's so crucial that you have people that remind you that you are brilliant.
100%.
That remind you that you are talented beyond measure, and that you are able to penetrate spaces far beyond your wildest dreams. And I think I had, between my grandmother and my uncle, who believed in me regardless of how big or how small the dream was, that kept me going. And so I owe my life to them, honestly.
Absolutely beautiful. I think, as a young person, doubt easily slips in, especially when you're going to school and, surrounded by other kids, and sometimes bullying slips in. It's important to have older people that hold your hand and remind you of your greatness, So that's beautiful. Listen, I must tell you, at home, Anslin keeps many balls in the air, and I'm not talking only about paddle, because you do that too, apparently. You do that too. How did that start? I was like, this man, first I was on a journey with you when you started becoming a runner.
Yeah.
And then you did a 10K.
100%.
How was that?
I mean, I still run.
I looked at that and I went, I wish I jumped on board with you when you started, because then I could have finished too. I can't run.
Endurance is a test of the mind, and if you sort of bridge that gap in your mind, you can do anything in the physical space.
Yeah.
And I think it's really been such a transformational journey for me, like the fitness thing, and I thought it would make me lose some weight and keep me fit.
But it's all about the mind, right?
100%. And I think I'm in such a good space mentally and emotionally and psychologically. I haven't seen a therapist in months, if not over a year. And I mean, I'm not saying that,
we're not doctors. We're not saying run.
Yeah. I'm not saying it negates,
but it worked for you.
Wellness, but it worked for me. And I think I love spending my time on the paddle court.
And you're really good at it. And I'm looking at the people you're playing with, and these are the big boys, and you're doing the things,
100%. I'm playing with crazy
athletes.
Athletes, the Gershon Kutsias.
Yeah, the Keegan Buchanans, the people that we see, that are the sportsmen. Anslin is with the sportsmen.
Absolutely, but I love it. It's such a fulfilling sport, man.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like you're one of those people that have more hours in the day than us. But as I said, when I say a lot of balls in the air, I'm not only talking about paddle. I think I know you from before social media, and I've also I have this front row view, and I think a lot of us have, to see your walk with God now. And I think you've always known God, right? And a lot of us do. A lot of us grow up with parents and grandparents that, God is always in the room, and they're dragging you to church. Maandag gaan is by die sisters, and dinsdag gaan is by every night of the week we're at something, right? But there comes a time in your life where your own eyes open up, your own ears open up. And do you know when that was for you?
Yeah, definitely. I grew up in a Methodist church.
Okay.
And I think I was about 16 years old when I visited another Pentecostal church, and I had a crazy encounter with the Holy Spirit that time, and it was a feeling that I never wanted to let go of. And so I was exposed to church, but I was exposed to a different level of encounter in a different church, and I think my heart yearned after that constant pursuit and that constant encounter. And so I never wanted to let go of that feeling or that experience I had with Christ. And so when the world was saying so many things, and when the noise was so loud around me, my experience with Christ was enough to let me hold on to that.
Okay.
And so I say it all the time. I'm unashamed to proclaim him. I'm unashamed to proclaim his greatness in my life. And I think it's the one thing that has kept me sane and kept me going, was that Christ is the hope of glory. And I've seen his will fulfill in my life, and just wandering in it. I think the most difficult thing in this space or in our industry is to make a declaration and a proclamation that you are saved and born again, and sort of that's what you profess. Because the space requires a different level of interaction. The space requires different requirements, all in all.
Gotta move differently.
100%. But I'm in a place of my life, or in my life, where I would rather sacrifice my flesh and be in his will than please my flesh and be out of his will and he not know my name.
Yes.
I'm okay if nobody claps for me in this world, but as long as he knows my name one day when I get there, that's what I hold on to.
And so how did because that's a personal encounter, how did that develop from, this is my personal encounter with God, then move over to, now I want to step into ministry?
Shoo. I don't think ministry was ever my intention. I don't think ministry was ever my intention. It was a calling. It was purpose. And I think sometimes we go through things in life that lead us to that purpose, and we sometimes disqualify ourselves from the purpose because we are unwilling to go through the process. And so the process looks like heartbreak. The process looks like friends giving up on you. The process looks like, torment and all of those things. But when you endure the test of time and you get to the end of that journey and you see what's on the other side, then you realize what scripture says when it says nothing are your present sufferings compared to the glory that will be revealed in you. And so for me, I ended up in ministry because of singing. I never thought that it would go beyond
Because surely
that.
you're in church and you're singing anyway, like you're doing praise and worship.
Whether if you'd asked me 5 years ago, Celeste, if I'd ever think that I would be standing behind a pulpit preaching the gospel to people, I would have said to you, you are mad. I would not want to do that. And so how it got me was that I denied it for so long.
Okay.
And so running from that call gave God ammunition to chase after me even faster. And who am I when he's the Usain Bolt of my life? Like, he ran and he caught me and he's never let me go.
And there you are,
Yeah.
man. Anslin Gysman, as I said, multi-talented, many hours in the day.
The Pulse. With Celest Anthony. Only on Cape Town's coolest radio station.
Good Hope FM, Cape Town's original.
We've spoken about a few things that he does and has been doing through the last couple of years, and that is so much. But also, another thing he does is he creates content somehow through this all. He still manages to make time for that, and that has built him a community of 203,000 of you people watching him online. That merely sounds like a huge number. When I say that number, does that make you anxious?
It does make me anxious because it means that 203,000 delusional people are joining me on this quest by listening to the stuff that I have to say.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's utter rubbish, but it really scares me all the time. The fact that number is growing all the time.
Yeah, it's also growing.
Means that there are people like me
There are
in this world.
I think people really resonate with the stuff you say. When did you first go, laat ek gou die record?
So I think TikTok started in COVID-19 for all of us. I
Literally.
think everybody was like, hit me baby one more time. I'm
was
like,
what was going on.
I'm not going to dance. I'm going to suck at that. So
Yeah.
I literally took an old video that I made during COVID and I thought, let me just throw it up there. And it was a video of me praying or thanking God for the food or the plate of food. And I was like, Here, dankie vir die hoender wat sy lewe neergeleer het sodat ons vandag hierdie hoender kan eet. Dankie vir die lam wat geslag was sodat ons vandag die lamb shank kan, and it literally started there, and that thing went viral. It even got me onto a cover of a magazine.
Yeah.
And so then I found out that I have a knack for speaking nonsense.
Yeah, no ways. I'm going to stop you right there, Anslin Gysman. No way is that way you found out. I know for a fact that in your friend group, people were already laughing. You were already the clown amongst. I know that. That must be true. I think maybe you didn't think the masses would think that.
100%, and I think it's different when it's the physical and the personal interaction between a group of friends.
Yeah, because that was Stranger Things. You're funny.
And it's like you actually laugh about these things.
Yeah.
That's appealing to you.
Why do you think your humor resonates with people?
I think it's relatable. I think it's because it stems from things that we all go through every day. It's not like a far-fetched story in terms of this. I heard this somewhere. I poke fun at the things that happen to me.
And you know what's great about your content now is that it doesn't require much. It's try in your compares and there you're laying.
100%. Funny thing. I've been trying to navigate away from posting videos, from underneath my covers because I felt like it's only a matter of time before somebody says, "Yo, wanna change your kussingslook."
People do that.
Y'all are wild out there. And someone gets me on the airport on Saturday and says to me, I haven't seen you on social media in like forever. I'm like, why? I've just posted yesterday. And she's like, no, but I haven't seen you. You haven't been under your blankets. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm slowly but surely getting back into my sort of under the cover stories because I think people want that.
Undercover Stories with Anslin Gysman.
Listen, that's a segment. That's literally a segment.
It's a podcast. We just started it.
I'm here for it. Definitely.
No, I think people also drift to they can feel if it's something is authentic, right?
Yeah.
We do have some spirit of discernment. So I think that's why people like you. It's hilarious. Keep doing exactly that.
Thank you so much.
I think when we look at followers, like 203,000 followers, it looks like, people just love you. But we do know that because we move in this world of entertainment, that amongst that 203,000, there are people hiding to merely spy and be online bullies. And so have you found the negative side to that, to social media?
Definitely. I think, once again, my delusion saves me. I think I've done well enough for myself and my mental health to sort of ascertain and decipher between what is necessary for me to address and what is not necessary for me to sort of pay attention to. There are, for example, a post receives 100 comments. There are 99 comments that are good. Yeah. And then there's the one comment that is bad. Occasionally, I would address it so that the next 5 of them
that's in line,
so that they know their place, but ideally I delete your comment and I move on.
Okay.
This world is already dark as it is. I think the little bit of the opportunity that we have to shed light, I think we should capitalize on that, and that's always just been my focus. I was speaking to a different content creator the other day, and she said to me she's always apologizing on social media, and I said, you're apologizing because you are running your mouth without thinking. We should be intentional about everything that leaves our mouths. And I think the reason why I've managed to sort of keep a good tab on my socials is because I'm intentional about everything I say.
Because we know that the internet lives forever,
100%. Nothing that leaves my mouth is an accident.
Okay.
I think about what I want to say. I think about the thoughts that I want to invoke in people. I think about the reactions that I want to see. Not because I want to... It's not unauthentic in terms of my expectation.
No. Because I was about to say it's not inauthentic because... I think that is a great philosophy to live by in general, outside of social media, just in real life too, right?
100%. And I think it stems from the fact, when you say something, how do you want that to make somebody feel?
Yes.
I always think about the scenario about when I walk into a room, what's the ambience like when I walk into the room, right? Like, do people light up or do they, slouch their shoulders in sort of disbelief that, this... Similarly, what is the atmosphere like when you leave the room?
Yes.
And so I'm always very conscious about the things I say, the things I do, how it would make somebody else feel. Not that I base my life or the way I run my life based on how it would make people feel, but I also...
We're considerate.
Yeah,
right?
and I also never want to be a thorn in somebody's flesh.
Yes.
Like, if I say something online that makes people feel a certain way, I will obviously feel a certain way because it means that it's not aligning with the mandate and sort of the brand I'm trying to build. Yeah.
Fantastic. Anslin, I've been wanting to ask you this, and maybe it is difficult for you, but... Who, if any, are your biggest musical and spiritual influences?
Locally, internationally?
Either way.
I think my biggest, if I look locally, my biggest musical inspiration.
Also, before, just pause. Anslin is, I need you to understand, in the industry already, so he's about to offend some of his very own friends. Go on.
My friends know it's not personal. I will tell them out straight, like, guys, no. I think locally, my biggest musical inspiration would have to be a tie between Jimmy Nevis and Craig Lucas.
Wow. Yes.
Absolutely adore them. Besides the fact that we are friends, I think what separates them from the rest is the way they write. I want to write like them one day when I'm big. Their sounds are international. Their thinking musically and melodically is exceptional. And I'm so happy to have walked a journey with both of them. And it's absolutely insane to see how the inspiration we are very easy to or quick to draw inspiration from people outside of our borders, but we possess so many
amazing talents,
right? So much talent that we can draw from, and I think it's important that we give them their flowers,
100%.
Regardless of what people see, on social media, etc. They are powerhouses in their own right.
They are.
Spiritually, it has.
Jesus.
No, that's a no-brainer. I think this is going to sound a bit biased, but I think my pastor is my spiritual I don't want to call him an icon because I don't want to idolize him,
Yeah.
but I think he's really been a benchmark for
Okay.
me in terms of spirituality. There's a fine line between being real and pretending, and I think he's sort of curated a space where I've realized the importance of preaching the whole gospel to the whole person to save the whole soul. And I mean, he's coming out with a book called Failing Forward very soon.
Oh, that's
And,
beautiful.
it's literally a story of his life's journey of how he's failed in his attempt
Okay.
in his life, his marriage, and how God has still given him grace, you know. And for me, I'd rather journey with somebody who's imperfect and publicly imperfect and
Yes.
show,
Oh.
you know, that there is grace for us, you know, who has fallen, than be with somebody who's publicly perfect and in private,
You know, and we see a lot of that.
going through it,
Yeah.
you know. So that's my spiritual inspiration. I
Oh,
love
beautiful.
Pastor Mark Mini.
I was about to say, give this man a shout out.
Love you, sir.
Anslin, as I said, we find you absolutely hilarious on social media, and I feel like your general disposition always is happy and wholesome, and that's kind of always been my experience with you. And you and I always want to believe that only good things happen to good people. But a couple of months ago, you had a very unfortunate incident happen to you, and I will never forget. I was sitting outside. I used to do a 12 o'clock show, and then after 12, I would go home and I'm doing my dishes and eating and what, and then I go sit outside. So 1 a.m. in the morning, I'm scrolling on TikTok and I see this video, and it's a long video. And immediately when I saw your face in the video, I knew this was going to be something else, and I stayed watching that video. And I had chills up and down. And as much as I had chills up and down, I went, it didn't even happen to you, right?
Yeah.
And even the way you retold this traumatic story, it was told with grace, because I feel like so many of us could just be like so angry at what just happened to us. But you told it with grace. So for the originals right now listening, that's not entirely sure what happened, just quickly wrap it
Yeah,
up.
it was a random Thursday evening. I was in Johannesburg on a conference for work, and I think in the middle of the night we were hungry as a group of colleagues, and I said to the girls, you know, stay inside. I sort of know a McDonald's close by. I'll catch an Uber. I can go through the drive-through and then I'll be back.
Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing. We were driving down like a very dark road, and I still made a joke with the person, and I said, listen, you should really invest in lights, you know, in Johannesburg. And he said, yeah, it's always dark. And systematically the car started driving slower and slower and slower, and I was like, okay, cool, maybe we're getting ready to sort of take a sharp turn, so that's why we're going slower, right? And before I knew it, two guys were in the car. I was getting dragged out of the car. I looked again, and the driver was driving off, and I was dragged onto an open field, a knife to my throat, and, you know, people removing my clothes and scattering it all around the sort of over the field. And I mean, you look at me now, and I can see the tears in your eyes.
I don't want to look at you.
And I'm okay to speak about it now because I've gone through the process of healing, and so it's easier for me to speak about, and I'll get to the healing part now. And they took my phone, took my watch, made me transfer them 3,000 rand.
All of that for 3,000 rand.
All of that for 3,000 rand, and I don't know how they did not see. And I mean, this is no flex, but they literally did not look at the balance in my account.
Okay.
So had they looked, you know, they would have done more. I then asked them, you know, can you please just return my ID and my license to me, because I'm in Johannesburg.
Yeah, and you have to come back home.
100%. And, you know, I don't know, with God's grace, they returned my bag to me, but they obviously took everything else that was valuable. And then I sat there, you know, after they had left, and thank God they didn't do anything to me to harm me. And
did you know where to go, because you're in a strange place now?
No, I did not. I managed to find one sock. One sock is still laying on the field somewhere, and, you know, I managed to gather my clothes, and I think I was just crying, and I just started running, and I ran until I saw a street light that actually worked, and I saw a little bit of a board that said police, and I ran in that direction. Thank God I knew how to run.
You know?
And eventually when I got to the police station, I told them what happened, and literally the response was, you know, this is not the first time, it happens all the time. that's not okay. It's not okay
Yeah.
that we are treating, instances like this with
Very nonchalant.
very nonchalantly. And I was like, okay, cool. I did what I did. I asked them to take me to the hotel. I managed to block my cards and my phone
Okay.
and all of those things. So yeah, that's a very traumatic thing that happened to me in Johannesburg.
I'm very sorry.
Yeah.
What does healing look like after that?
So
And trust look like after that?
I'm a very trusting person. I trust with my whole heart and my whole soul, and so I think it's my Achilles heel. Healing for me looked like, I think I landed in. So after that happened to me, I didn't go home. So I was in Johannesburg.
No, right. I remember that. You went to Durban, I think, or
I
somewhere else.
literally went to Durban
Yeah.
to go and tell people that God is good.
Amen.
After that, I flew back to Johannesburg the next day, and I then did another gig in Potchefstroom. I only flew back the Sunday evening. So that happened to me the Thursday. I was literally then on ministry every single day after that, traveling with all of this emotions, with all of the hurt,
continuing
all of
the
pain.
gospel, man.
I had no phone. I had no device. I was chatting on a laptop. I had no money. My sister had to literally e-wallet me cash all the time so that I could sort of commute
Survive.
and survive. So many things happened to me. I think I had no idea of how to get in touch with the people who had booked me.
Oh,
in
yes, that
Durban.
too.
I literally just got on a flight eventually and prayed that something would align. Luckily, one of the flight attendants offered me her phone and was like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm actually not okay." So it's little angels that God had sent on my path. But healing looked like doing therapy immediately when I landed the Sunday. The Monday I went to go and speak to the therapist, and I think I was very tactical about my healing because the devil was tactical about trying to take me out. And so I knew that what I was called to and for on this earth was far greater than the trauma that had befallen me.
Yes.
And I think my goal was to be a healed version for the ones who are broken in this world. And so because I know that I have a mandate to preach hope to people and to preach restoration and healing to people, I knew that it couldn't come from a broken channel. It couldn't come from a broken vessel. And so I was tactical in getting my
Vessel
heart
fixed,
healed and
yes.
and aligned so that I could be and be in purpose for a purpose. It was difficult. It was difficult to sort of navigate through it, but I'm glad that I've done that, and I'm glad God has been gracious enough to extend me even more grace to speak about it and just to encourage other people to be alert out there and to be vigilant. And I mean, the first time I didn't know going back to Johannesburg would be such a trigger for me because
Being back in an Uber? Not yet?
Not really.
Because you don't really have to. I think you don't have to really ever take Ubers. That was the only time you basically
'cause
had to, right?
We didn't rent a car when we were there. I think I recently went back to Johannesburg for the first time after that ordeal, and I was okay. Like I was booked months in advance, so I was fine with sort of going to Johannesburg.
You could prepare.
I think when I got to sort of departures, and I literally froze because then the reality sunk in that I'm about to go to this place and I feel unsafe. I'm alone, that sort of thing. I called a friend. I said, "Listen, dude, I am struggling right now. I don't know what to do. I'm freezing," and sent me a video praying for me.
Oh.
And I was like, ugh.
You got the right people, man.
Right? And it was hard. Luckily, the client that booked me they were so cute. They even blocked the seats next to me, so that I didn't have to speak to anybody because I don't know what they, I didn't even know that they knew it was my first time going back. But I was also just held and kept when I landed in Johannesburg, and there was just such a great community of people that made me feel safe. And so I've been back to Johannesburg again a couple of times.
Good.
And in fact, I was in Johannesburg on Saturday for like 3 hours.
There you go. You've even forgotten. That's how. In fact, when I spoke to Anslin, I was like, is it okay if we touch on this matter? Anslin goes, "I'm healed. Of course we can."
Yeah.
So that's beautiful that you are on the other end of that. And I think, again, this story is just part and parcel of what you can share with the community, what you can share in ministry as well. I think, Anslin, really what you're doing in this world is amazing. We also have, so if you don't know this, on a Wednesday, I've got a feature on the show called Local as Lekker, where I chat to people that are local, that that's lekker, and because I believe, like, you know, if you're doing lekker things, you're touching one life, and that life touches another, and that's how we change the world. And when I went, I gotta get Anslin on, I went, you can get him on Wednesdays or on Thursdays, because he really fits both, because you really are local and you lekker and you do amazing things. You don't step away from any challenge, whether it's educating yourself or stepping into new spaces. And I think the journey we've seen you take on social media is that you've taken us along on another journey. You show us how you're bold in the pursuits that sets your soul on fire. And so I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for doing just that. I want to say continue doing that. I think many times you pick up your phone and you're hilarious, as I said, but there's always lessons to be learned, and I see that, and so I'm so grateful to have a front row view in that. For anyone not following you on social media just yet, where do we find you?
You can find me. Firstly, thank you for sharing those sentiments. That was heartwarming. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
You can find me Anslin Gysman on all social media platforms. My handle is at Anslin_G on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Waar is ook nog op?
Tinder.
Bloed. Bloed? Celeste, weet je, ik wil amper gevraagd, wat doen die mensen nog?
I don't know.
Yeah, because if you're doing this day and age, it is a sugar
Please don't. It is TikTok, it is Instagram, it is Facebook. Those are usually the ones, right?
Yeah.
Instagram.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music.
All the things. He is streaming, he's got music out, and it is amazing. Your music is amazing too, man.
Feel it. For more, tune in to goodhopefm.co.za.
It's all you need.